Dielectric loss and partial discharge. Dielectric loss measures the quantity of a dielectric material's inherent dissipation of electromagnetic energy converted into heat. During the normal operation of the equipments, when the lot of stress is being exerted on the insulating materials, various losses are happening in the insulating material also, which are dissipated into heat. The dielectric loss can be expressed in the terms of loss angle delta. An efficient dielectric material supports a varying charge with a minimal dissipation of energy in the form of heat. Many insulating substances have the dielectric constant which is greater than unity and have the dielectric loss when subjected to AC voltages. Okay, these two quantities, namely the dielectric loss and the dielectric constant, they depend on the magnitude of the voltage stress that is being exerted on the insulating material, and also they depend on the frequency of the supply. Tan delta is the term that is used to represent the loss angle. It is called as the loss angle or the dissipation factor testing or the loss tangent. Most commonly used term is the loss tangent or tan delta. It basically helps to determine the quality of cable insulation. The cable and its insulation is actually compared to a parallel plate capacitor. Okay, for this you can actually compare the cable as to a parallel plate capacitor, okay, to which a voltage V is being applied. Okay, now in a perfect capacitor, the voltage and currents are always in a phase shift of 90 degrees. The current leads the voltage by 90 degrees. Okay, now in some case or under some circumstances, if some impurities are found in the insulation, maybe due to the moisture, maybe due to some electrical disturbances, or maybe some air pockets, etc., or maybe some dust, the resistance of the insulation will decrease. As this resistance will decrease, this will result in a flow of resistive current through the insulation. So now your cable will no longer remain a perfect capacitor. Now that your cable is not a perfect capacitor, the current will not be leading the voltage by 90 degrees. It will be something less than 90 degrees. Okay. Now to the extent to which this phase shift is less than 90 degrees is called as the dielectric loss, or it is an indication of the level of contamination. To what level is the insulation damaged or insulation contaminated? This loss angle is measured, and then we draw some kind of analysis from this loss tangent. Okay, this figure basically represents the relationship between the voltage and the current in the cable, or maybe you can say it is the capacitor formed by the cable, and you can see that the angle formed here between IC and IR and this resultant current, you see that this angle is known as the delta. Ideally it should have been 90 degrees, but the current is now having a resistive component, hence it is not 90 degrees, it is something less than 90 degrees. The information obtained from the measurement of tan delta and the complex permittivity help in assessing the quality of the dielectric and the insulation system. Variation and sudden changes in tan delta value with the applied voltage is an indication of inception of partial discharge, that is inception of fault, inception of breakdown. This is used to determine the inception level of internal discharges and losses due to partial discharge in high voltage equipment. This can also be used to predict the health of the oil. Now, to study the variation of the dielectric properties with the frequency, a much detailed study is actually required, okay, where we have to study about the dispersion. That is where the permittivity reduces with the rise in frequency. There are several methods by which you can measure the dielectric loss or the loss angle of a dielectric material. Okay, as mentioned earlier, this tan delta, it depends on two factors. One is the applied voltage and next is the frequency. So we have here different methods for different conditions. So for a low frequency method, there is a method known as the Mole's bridge. Then we have the high voltage sharing bridge, and we have the transformer ratio arm bridge. Now the low frequency measurement, that is up to 0 to 10 hertz. The circuit is known as the Mole's bridge. It is again a balanced circuit. In the testing of equipment of large kVA ratings at high voltages, and to study the properties of dielectrics at zero frequency, that is at the DC or near to it, it is actually advantageous to carry out some tests in the frequency range of 0 to 10 hertz, so that you can understand or analyze the behavior under DC conditions. Conventional Wheatstone bridge type bridges cannot be used, they are not suitable for this frequency range. One of the methods we have seen in the last PPT, that is the DC amplifier method, can be used here. Now the bridge that is actually used for low frequency bridge measurement is known as the Mole's bridge. This is primarily devised to measure the dispersion in insulation of the installed equipment and gives a reliable measure of the moisture content in the insulation. It is very well known that the dielectric dispersion increases rapidly with the decrease in frequency, and hence a more sensitive measurement is obtained at a low frequency circuit. Then next we proceed to discussing the sharing bridge, that is the method for measuring the high voltage sharing bridge. Now these are the power frequency measurement methods. Okay, the sharing bridge is a high frequency measuring method, high frequency, high voltage. Now the sharing bridge is an electrical circuit used for measuring the insulating properties of electrical cables and equipment. You might have studied this part in the lower classes when we studied measurement of electrical quantities. Accurate value of capacitance can be measured using the sharing bridge. It is basically used here in the high voltage sector to measure the insulation properties such as the dielectric loss and the loss angle. It has the advantage that the balance equation is independent of the frequency. This is the circuit diagram, the schematic for the sharing bridge. The balance equations in the sharing bridge can be written as follows, as you can see them on your screen. In the power frequency range of 25 to 100 Hz, the sharing bridge is a very versatile and a sensitive bridge and is readily suitable for high voltage measurement. The stress dependence of K dash or epsilon R and tan delta can be readily obtained with this kind of arrangement. Then next we have the transformer arm bridge. Now it is a very common practice to use a 4-arm Wheatstone bridge network for a AC measurement. The conventional Wheatstone bridge that we are using. Okay. Now in high frequency measurements, the arms with the high values of resistances lead to difficulties due to the residual inductances, capacitances and the skin effect. Also, the shielding and grounding can become a problem in large arms. Hence, what we do at the high frequencies, is the transformer ratio arm bridge is used, which eliminates at least two arms can be used. These bridges are also useful for the measurement of low value of capacitance accurately. The ratio arm bridges can either be The ratio arm bridges can either be of two types. One is the voltage ratio arm bridge and next is the current ratio arm bridge. The first one, that is the voltage ratio arm bridge, is used for high frequency low voltage applications, while the current ratio arm bridge is used for high voltage low frequency applications. Okay. The schematic for these are shown in the figure. You can see the schematic. Assuming the ideal transformer conditions for a null indication of the detector, we have the following balance equations derived, where Cx and Cs are unknown and standard capacitances respectively. Rx and Ra are unknown and standard resistances. Nx, Na and Ns are the corresponding turns of the transformer ratio winding. Now, in the practical transformers, the voltage ratio slightly differs from the turns ratio. Now, this is obviously due to the no load magnetizing current and also some effects due to the load current also. Therefore, the balance conditions shown in the above equation can create errors, or they can give you errors while calculation. Now, these errors are again classified as ratio and loading errors, and they are determined separately and compensated for in the construction. You will have to make some changes, some compensation in the circuit for changing these values. Now, the transformer current ratio arm bridge. For high voltage applications where sensitive measurements are at fixed frequency are required, the current comparator or the current ratio method is used. This bridge has the advantage that full voltage is applied across the test capacitor, but it also has a disadvantage that a standard conductance has to be built for high voltages. Now, it is difficult to construct a very precise conductance suitable for a high voltage operation. So this is you can see this is the typical circuit used for a current comparator bridge, or you can say that the transformer current ratio arm bridge. Now, as I was telling you that it is difficult to construct a precision conductance suitable for a high voltage application. Now, this advantage is overcome by modifying the circuit, as you can see on your screens. This is done by generating a low voltage signal EF, which is proportional and is in phase with the supply voltage E. Okay. Now, at the balance conditions, these are the equations where Gx and Ga are unknown and standard conductances, and Cf is the balancing condenser. So, I hope now you are clear with the methods of measuring dielectric losses and tan delta. The next lecture we will continue. We will discuss regarding the partial discharge and the methods to measure it. Thank you.